Okay, so being in the moment is my superpower. It's all of our superpowers, but I'm coming into the remembering of it because there is no time. It's only vibration. It's only based on vibration. And so I was in the moment, was petting my mom's dog, loving him, giving him loving, just loving him up, totally dedicating, like any animal, any pet that has ever known me, like knows that I will dedicate my entire existence, energetic existence to them while I'm around them, just in their happiness and to love them because they're lovable and they were made to be loved. And so I do that. And I do that, to the point where, they even some dogs have taken advantage, and cats too have taken advantage of it, where they're like, hey, keep petting me. And they'll like, paw at me when I stop, and I'll just sit there and, okay. My cat, when I was young, when I was sleeping, it would come and jump. It was really sketched out cat, and it would come and jump on me, and it'd like circle and circle and circle and circle and circle, and then finally lay down. And then I'd want to move because it like woke me up, and I like sat there, but then it was comfortable. And it took so long for it to get comfortable that I would lay there for 2 hours before I would actually finally move and readjust so I could go back to sleep. And I had school the next day and everything. But I was petting my dog right now, and I got a download, and it was because I was petting him, and I was just like talking to him and telling him how amazing he is, and how much I appreciate him and love him, and yeah, sending him as much love as possible, and reverberating that energy and that vibration of love to him and back and forth, and harmonizing with him and Mother Gaia, and just loving him. And that's how you do it. You just love him, pure love, just purity of love, and back and forth and back and forth, and it reverberates and it gets stronger and amplifies and all that good stuff. And I can tell he loves it too. He loves the attention. He loves the dedication and devotion. And he's so innocent. Dogs were made to be loved. They were totally, that's all they get, that for real, that's all they were made to do. They have characteristics just like cats do of their own, that are of their own, like loyalty and groundedness and devotion and stuff like that. Companionship, where cats are pretty independent, and they're, they're pretty on there. They carry either way, but they still, they'll love you to death, if you're loyal to them. But dogs are, guarding and protection and loyalty and love, but they're just pure love beings. And so, I'm sitting there and I'm petting my dog, and I got a download, and it was, this is how God sees us. We were made to be loved. We were made to exist in pure love and exude that and be that without any fears or any anger or any hatred or any of that. But we're such strong creatures. We're such dualistic that we can go. And that's what makes it even more amazing, is because we were made to be loved just like dogs were made to be loved for us, and for it to flow through them to us and back and forth and through like a conduit. Like I said, we are a conduit of energy and of vibrations, and love is the highest one. And like I said, doggies are made of love. And so, but we were made to be the same. We were made we were made from God to receive love and to be loved in all ways, because we're a masterpiece of creation. We literally are, which is of God, because we can do so much, and we exist in so many dimensions at one time, and we can maintain different vibrations and states of levels of vibrations and all that kind of stuff too, while still being able to exist in a 360-degree angles of any angles at any time. And that's why like God is so proud of us, and it sucks that we stop ourselves from being able to realize that and actualize that of God. And so, but I just want to come on here and share that, because that's what he said, or he's like, I intended the same thing for you, because I'm sitting there and I'm just petting my dog, and I'm like, I just love this shit out of him. And he's there, like, every animal I've ever had is just like loves me, like because I will literally devote my existence, to loving animals, because they're pure. And so I try and be pure to them, and back and forth, and and then that just popped in my head that we were made to receive the same thing that I was giving to the dog, you know what I mean? Like, and he was receiving just fine. Like sometimes I'll be like, all right, my turn, you can rub my belly now. And he'll be looking at you like, what the hell? What are you talking about? But that's one thing also that came to me was that, that's why he assigned all this higher energetic support if we call on them. But it's our free will and our respect for our free will that from the other realms, that you have to call for that assistance until you fortified it, energetically fortified it, and leveled up to a point where you don't have to, and it's automatic. But until then, it's hard. It's hard, you know. And so, but that's why he gave us, like, that's why we all have our own individual team of higher energetic help: angels, spirit guides, masters, celestial star family, star heritage, elementals, dragons, fairies, ancestors that have come before us for our highest good. You always want to call those guys in. Deceased loved ones that you've known in this lifetime that you can remember, that you would wish and want to be on your, to be there for you, and they are. All you got to do, just because we can't see them, we have been conditioned not to see them. And we have to come back into the knowing that we can, and that we can feel them in different ways. We can know that they're there in different ways. We can sense our environment and our manifestation of our reality in many different ways. Multisensory perception is using multiple senses at one time, and being able to logically deduce through that, like decipher your environment, your reality, your manifested reality. And so, but no, why would you think God would give you a team of higher energetic thugs? I mean, like, literally, like, top dog, like, they run this, they made these realms, you know what I mean? And they're all there right as soon as you ask for them, they're there. You know what I mean? And any energetic, and the creation of the realms, it comes from mind, from the top dimension all the way down, and manifests out into the third. And so, you know what I mean? But it all trickles down from above, from mind all the way down, from the above dimensions down. So no matter what, if you call in the higher dimensional beings like Archangel Michael and Archangel Gabriel, any archangel, they run this ship. Like, they can stop accidents. They can, like, misfortunes. That's your guardian angel, that you want to call them that. But guardian angels and archangels, they work side by side in energetic means. And so, they ask for assistance from each other when you ask for assistance from them. And your guardian angel's been there since you were born. And so we'll step in no matter what, if there's any kind of life-threatening thing that's upon you. But there's also nefarious and mischievous energies as well that you have to call upon, that are trying to trick you and manipulate you and do that kind of stuff. And you can still call on them, but that's when you have to call on them, is when you're in that kind of, like, other than that, like, the guardian angel will be there in times of life-threatening danger, of physical danger. But ones where you're being manipulated and influenced, you have to call them in. Yeah, that's becoming aware and figuring out when that is happening is tricky. Let me tell you, it's tricky. It really is. It has to do with the energetic bodies, and the coherence of them, the alignment of them, for you to be able to be aware and to be aware enough to be able to be mindful of what the multisensory perception is telling you, your intuition and everything. Anyway, but God made us. He loves us. He wants us to see. He wants us to know that how he sees us. The divine wants us to know what we mean to, because we're the front lines right now. We are actually like I said, we're brave. Okay, our souls, the reincarnated souls that have come in during this time, are really brave, because we're trying to fix and heal and balance and center and get everything back to the original state that we have been so far gone for so long, because of the fall of Atlantis and the fall of Lemuria. And so, but we're bringing it back now. And there's a lot of pain that is stored in the DNA and in the collective, in all of us, and suffering that have patternistically been created in our lives this lifetime and prior lifetimes as well. We go through the same patterns, and so does our ancestors, until we learn lessons that we came here to learn. And that's when we separated from God and we came down to these lower dimensions. We did so in individualistic ways that left imprinting on us. And so, and besides other means and outside influences that have had that happen, or that have influenced and made that happen too, manipulated that into existence for our DNA and stuff like that. But we have to fix it. We have to honor it. We have to love it. We have to integrate it back to become whole, to become the original blueprint that we were. And so, and it's like, I'm one of those souls that from like the original falls, man, for like that. And I have imprinting of trauma in my DNA from my ancestors and from myself, from my incarnation of my soul, that I'm healing right now. And so we are all doing that. We're all clearing and removing and integrating and coming back to ourselves and all that kind of stuff. And that's what, and the further that we integrated away and that we that we fragmented away, not integrated, that we fragmented away, the worse it was for us to be able to connect to the divine, to know that we were part of source and that we are source. And so coming back to source and going and healing that pain is really hard. But God came through and wanted to say, like, we are a masterpiece of creation. That's how he sees us. Our imperfections and all, that means we can learn. But we're still beautiful no matter what. We're not damned. That was an outside influence that was projecting onto us. But it's not true, because if we were damned, we'd have been damned a long time ago. I'd have been damned a long time ago. I would have been condemned a long time, condemned a long time ago. And I wasn't. I'm still here. I can still change. I can still do better. I can still do more. You know what I mean? So I'm victorious by right, which means that God hasn't damned me, and God isn't going to. I have to come to the realization that that's not true, that he actually has an army of higher dimensional beings that are there for me as soon as I ask for it and figure out that I need to, and then I do, and they will be, and then things start getting fixed up, and I can come back to him and realize that it was me all along that kept me from him. That's the hardest part, actually, is figuring out that, that's why, like I said, they say you have to forgive yourself, and it's really true. You really have to forgive yourself, because you're the one that let these energies manipulate you into a position where you got mad at God for not being able to see him, even though it's your own making, even though it was outside influences. It's still free will, choice, respect. Like, you have to be able to recognize it and come back to God yourself. And then when you realize that he's been there the whole time, you're ashamed, you feel guilty, you feel bad that you shut him out, in the first place. And then we're in this conditioned collective response that it's like Groundhog Day over and over and over. I keep forgetting and remembering, and I'm beating my head against the wall. But we have a team. He loves us that much that he has a team if we call on them. All of us do. And they all love us. And they will step in right as soon as you think of them, no matter what. And never be afraid, or never think that you're infringing upon your Archangel Michael, any of those guys. That is their mission, and their purpose is to assist. That's what I mean. They have their mission and their purpose is to assist us in raising our vibration and integrating and coming back to originality. How awesome do you got to be in God's eyes to assign top dogs like Archangel Michael and Archangel Gabriel and all of them, all this energetic assistance that is right there here for us, to love us and support us in the ways that are best for our sovereignty and our freedom and our God-given right and birthright. And so, it's funny, because that's what with me, he's like, I've been here the whole time, and then I'll forget again. And like, cause there's illusions and there's veils and there's been matrices and there's been implants and there's been dark interference and it's been ridiculous. You know what I mean? And he couldn't step in. He respects and he loves, he really does, but he's still just and fair. Don't get him wrong. But you have to, like with me, I had to realize to forgive and release it all, because everything that's ever been against me has nothing to do with me. It has to do with my connection with God, and how much I value my existence of being a creation of God more than anything else in the 3D realm. And that's the only time other than that, I've never intentionally tried to hurt anyone. And I know that, and I live by that. And so, like, any opposition is because of that freedom that I've expressed that way. And it sucked, but I had to learn it. But I'm not going to take it personally, because it's happened by so many people that I cared about and loved too. People that I didn't know at all, and it was all boiled down to one thing, that it was. And it was just because I let things go really easy. You know what I mean? And I respected myself, and I respected others in the same way that I respected myself. And I loved others, and I love others in the same way that I love myself. And I know how to do that, and it's cool. Like, I don't think I'm better. No one's better than anyone else at all. It's not. We're all the same. We all have our own journeys that we have to go through. We all have our own internal struggles and conflicts that we have to go through and overcome, that are personal to ourselves. So we have no right to judge one another in any way, or compare ourselves, or the need to compare ourselves either. That's just us trying to control the situation in some way. Honestly, when we're trying to compare ourselves, judge other things, we're trying to make it in a certain way according to a belief that's been instilled in us that's wrong, and that has to go away, because it's not true. It's not true, and it just hinders our and creates the obstacle and the energetic blockage to God, so that we can't get to Him. Like I said, them dark forces were clever, clever as hell. But we are the gods ourselves. We are the gods ourselves. We are. We are. That's what with my ancestors and the gods and goddesses and the angels and everybody that I call upon, I ask to absorb their energies within mine. And to do so, I have to release and surrender my own energy. And that is in deep respect, trust, and love, and fearlessness. You have to be brave and courageous to surrender yourself to something you can't see and you don't know. But you understand that you love it enough to respect it enough that if you let your guard down, and it'll respect you that same way back, and it will help you and support you in all ways. If you try and put a construct on it, if you try and put some sort of definition, some label, some identification of some sort, it's going to ruin the whole connection. You have to completely let go. You just let go and trust. Call forth, like I call forth my ancestors from my highest good, and then I surrender energetically, all of me, as much as I can. I relax, and I just let go of everything and just go, here I am. Raw and unfiltered, authentic and genuine. Here I am. I would love to honor your existence and your presence and respect it by embodying it in the way that you would love for me to do that. And then I surrender myself to that consciousness, to that energy, and I open myself up and I ask them to come in, you know what I mean? And to be them, so I can be a representative of them in a good light, because I know I can. Because I've strived for it, because I've fought for it, because I've overcome, because I went in and I faced all these things and learned all this stuff, because I wanted to represent my ancestors in a good way. I wanted them to be able to be proud of me and to live in a way that they would want, but in the way that God intended us to be, a creation of God, not one hindered by anything or limited by anything or that fears in any way. No. God doesn't want his creations to fear things. Why would he want that? He wants you to be empowered and to stand in that power and to go, no, that's not going to happen. That's not true. That's not blah, blah, you know what I mean? You're not going to affect me in this way. Because I'm not trying to exert my will over yours. You can't exert your will over mine. And you don't want to, you shouldn't want to. I mean, honestly, like living your own life is hard enough, let alone trying to worry about and control someone else's or judging someone else's or comparing someone else's. It's like, just worry about your own and, let them worry about their own, because like I said, everyone has their own internal struggles and conflict of their own. There's no race. It's all different for everyone, which means that's why you have to respect it for everyone, and why they have to respect yours as well, because you have your own too, and nobody knows it. Nobody knows what you've been through. Nobody can judge what you've been through, because they don't know. And they're just trying to play. They have a God complex when they be trying to do that. They're trying to play God in your life when they're trying to judge you and set rules and limitations on how you live, especially if you're not doing it to them. They're trying to play God in your life. That's why I had to forgive and release and let God be God, because like I can't resent, and I can't God can't be God if I'm upset about something that's happened to me, especially something that's bigger than me that I can't control. Something that had nothing to do with me originally. I did really personally, like nobody knows me in that capacity to hate me or to oppose me in such a way that I have been. And so God's like, you got to let it go. You got to completely release it, and you got to surrender it, and then let me handle it. And I'm like, no, I'm mad. That hurt. He's like, I know it did, but I can't do anything until you let it go. And I'm like, God damn it, but it hurt. And so, but I've been learning how to surrender and release and let go, because God doesn't want us to live like that. He doesn't want us to live in anger or fear or sadness or depression, or where we limit ourselves and hinder ourselves in any way, because we are a creation of him, mother, father, Adonai. For real. The creator, God, creator, source. But God, I say God because of being grown up with a religion, and I do not believe in religion at all. I think it's mass control. I'm a spiritualist 100%, and I always have been. I always, you know what I mean? Spiritualists believe in energy and vibrations, and that's all over. That's where we're in the age of Aquarius. It's all over the internet. All of this. That's what we're all awakening. There's so many, but we've already hit mass critical to be able to ascend with Gaia. It's just that we're right at the tipping point where like the dark forces are throwing everything they have to keep the vibration low enough where Gaia can't do it. But they're fucking with God, so, and I guess they don't think they are. They got away with they broke a lot of universal laws for a long time. and by manipulating us and by controlling us, by keeping us in the dark and keeping our vibration low. But there's enough of us now that have awakened, to have raised our vibration, raised the collective vibration, that it's waking everybody up. And that, so the dark can't control anymore and manipulate anymore. That you just can't. And that's why I'm one of the soldiers that brought that in. I'm one of the light soldiers that brought that in, that have been anchoring down these truths and these energies to send Mother Gaia and all of us into a dimension that where pure happiness and joy and bliss exist, and there is no negativity at all. That's the fifth dimension. There is no separation anymore. We'll be back with God. We'll be able to know our ancestors. We'll be able to see the spirit realm. We'll be able to know our star family. We'll be able to, all the things that our soul has been yearning for, is available in the fifth dimension when we cross over into the fifth dimension with Mother Gaia. All of them. We don't have to come back to the third dimension and be affected by outside energies of a low vibration at all anymore. And we'll all live in harmony. It's going to be great. And it's happening. It's already it's been happening. It has been. It's a progress. It's a process. That's why they say trust the process, because it is a process. Of course, it's going to be. God is that awesome and complex and intricate and amazing. He is. Oh, that's what he really is. He really is. To know the process of ascension itself and the works of the universe. And that's what Psalms 111 is, the beginning of wisdom. It's one of my favorites, and I just smile when I read it. And that's what it is. When you understand God and you see the wonders of God throughout, and are grateful and reverent for seeing God in the ways that you can, every time that you figure out, that God is amazing, you're always happy about it. You're like, oh my God, you're amazing, God. And it's true though. There's so many ways that God can be amazing if you let God be amazing, and we have been conditioned and manipulated and not letting that happen. And it's really sad that we've been disconnected from our source, from our creator, from our origination, where we're, and how we've hated our existence, and how we've hated others and all that it is really sad, but it shows you how much God really does love. Or he'd have done murdered all them. I mean, he'd have done genocided all of them. If he was like a human, if he was like a mortal, if he couldn't see it from above and know from an all-encompassing existence, everybody'd be dead. Everybody'd be dead if God was immortal, or if he thought with a mortal mind like us. No, so he doesn't do that. It's based on justice and fairness and patience, all the virtues, and that's just a creation realm itself of God. God is all of everything. The archangels, the Elohim. There's different philos of angels. There's 10 philos of angels. There's the seraphim. There's the cherubim. There's the thrones, the virtues, the principalities, the carrions, the dominions. The archangels, which is the Elohim is part of the archangels. The archangels is part of the Elohim. And then the angelic realm, which is under that. There's different hierarchies of all these dimensions. There's many different dimensions. We're in the third, fourth right now. And then it goes all the way up to, but I don't even know. Numbers are infinite, man. You know what I mean? It goes to infinity. So, and then back again. And that God is Alpha and Omega. It's the king and the entire existence of everything, at one time, at all times. Infinity symbol. Yes. So anyway, that's what God wanted. What God said though, he looks at us in the same way that we see our pets. I mean, he doesn't look, if you look down on your pet, you get a problem anyway. You need to look at your pet in a loving, accepting, and always wanting it to be happy, healthy, in the best condition. And that's how God sees us, and that's how the divine sees us, and our spirit team sees us. We are the ones that are hard on ourselves. We are the ones that are unforgiving on ourselves. They're there waiting for us to realize that and take that energetic blockage away and forgive and release and surrender and come back to them. And so those are the lessons that we have to learn. That's the hurt and the separation, the fragmentation that has occurred in the areas that it has for each individual soul and each individual person. Yeah, so just look at yourself like that, really give yourself compassion, forgive yourself, forgive others. It's a hard journey. It's a hard road for everybody, for everything, and just try and love. I know this sounds like a hippie kind of thing, but just try and look at yourself in a way that you look at in the same light that you see your pets. honestly, as long as you, like I said, you see them in a respectful and loving way. Hopefully you don't see them in a dominating way, in a superiority kind of way, and you just want them to be happy, and you want, compassion and love, and empathy and humility. These are the things that lead this. These are the things that you should give that we should give ourselves at all times, and everyone else, honestly. Like we're way too hard on ourselves in way too many ways, and it sucks. It really does. It's unnecessary, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. That's why I don't let it apply, because it doesn't help me to succeed in anything that I'm trying to succeed in, and it hasn't helped anybody else around me succeed in anything that they're trying to succeed in either. It just perpetuates the same negative emotion, and so I won't do it. I won't do it. Any times that I have lately have been energetically manipulated, and I've been spell work, all that kind of stuff, hexes, all that kind of stuff have been pointed at me, and then projections and stuff like that. And I'm coming to the understanding and awareness of how that works already. It's already within me to know, because I'm an ascended master. I am. I know the ancient knowledge is within me. The wisdom is within me. I instinctually do things that, like, to harmonize myself, my body, my mind, my understanding, and so, and just who I am. That's what I've had to embrace myself. I've had to embrace what I am, and I'm glad. But it's made me grateful. That's what this experience is it leads you to gratitude, because of all the things that you took advantage of that you didn't realize you were taking advantage of. Like, that's where the self-forgiveness comes in. It's like, it's not even the outside forces that you were ashamed of yourself because you let it happen, and you realize it, but instead of actually looking at it, you'd rather just blame, because that's what was conditioned and manipulated it for you to do. But then that's just avoiding it, and then you don't deal with it, and it still remains, and so you don't get over it, and it keeps you in a place where you don't want to be. This is truth. I'm full of it. Truth. All right. So look at yourself with compassion and love always. So sayseth I, so saith God. Ashe, ashe, ashe.